recording.
Okay, awesome. So I'm Maddy Martin, Head of Growth and Education at Smith.ai. Now that we've been through that, hopefully you remember it forever. So I run all things marketing, partnerships, and communication. So that really has gone into our sales process. We do a lot of trade shows. We have a ton of conversations. We know the questions, we know the objectives, and we also know that Smith.ai is not going to be the one that files your business taxes. We are an optional sort of solution if you are running a business, if you're running an agency, if you're working with clients to convert more leads. Our receptionists facilitate boosted ROI. We improve responses to leads. We answer website chats, calls, texts, Facebook messages on behalf of businesses. And what that allows us to do is work directly with clients, work with clients through agencies, work on platforms such as a pretty prominent home services marketplace, and we actually power their chats through their app. You name it, and we can basically answer it. What I want to show you today is how we internally and how you can and how your clients can use a sales workflow that combines really affordable tools like Calendly and Slack, and then really powerful tools like Salesforce. We also bring in Front, and then we've got the front end of our website actually collecting and sort of initiating this workflow that has some human touches and has some automation, because right now what we're finding is that 50% or greater of the new business coming in is inbound through search and through referrals. So we have to have a really efficient workflow so that we balance inbound responsiveness promptly while also understanding where that outbound and callbacks are needed. So I'm going to share my screen, and I have a lot of things queued up to show you. So let's see, here we go. Okay, can everyone see? I'm on the Smith.ai pricing page.
Yes.
Good? Cool. Okay, awesome. So when you go to Smith.ai, you can go up to pricing, you can go to our homepage, and you'll see these options all over our site. Get started. Put your name, email, and phone number, or book a consultation. And on the pricing page, we have options for both virtual receptionists and so there we go, chat loads. So you'll notice that we sort of have two different calls to action. We've got get started, where you go through a chat sign up workflow here, or you go through a virtual receptionist workflow here. Or we say, maybe you want to talk to sales. Here, book a consultation. Do you have any questions? We're here to answer them for you. Why? Because a lot of people have either never worked with a receptionist service like ours before. They don't understand all the things that we can do, from answering to intake to scheduling. They have ideas about what they would like us to do, and they want to make sure that meets their goals and budget. Maybe they've worked with the service in the past. They want to compare apples and oranges, whatever. So those are the two options. Now, if you click on Get Started and you move forward, then you're going to see a page for receptionists like this. Confirming you're in the right place. Wonderful. Let's get you started using the same language. And then if you want to use one of the type forms to get started, you would click Sign Up Now. We would go through the type form. You answer some questions. And then we see, for example, and I'm going to need to actually share a different window, which is Front. You would see a message like this where we get the full type form completed, and then we have the sales engagement, and I will talk through what all the rest of this conversation means in a moment. So let's go back here. I'm on the sign up form. Okay, I'm going to get started. We all know what type form looks like. What time zone are you in? What's your website, your phone number, etc. Let's go back. If you don't want to fill out that form, you've also got an onboarding call that you could schedule. If instead you are not ready to get started, you want to talk to sales first, you want a free consultation, you instead see a link that lands on a page like this, and you schedule, for example, you can see my entire calendar now. You can schedule a time for as soon as today, and you get a sales appointment. So you can select which of the services you're interested in, what questions, how did you hear about us? As I mentioned, a lot of search. We want to know, did you see Clutch? Did you read the reviews on Clutch? Did attorney Regina Edwards refer you in her Facebook group, etc.? They share that with us here, and then we pass it on down the line. Now, this is where things get interesting. You're like, Maddy, this isn't so groundbreaking. Now, what we have in our Slack, and this is my Slack, so hopefully we don't see anything crazy, but I think I've queued it up for us. On the, we see a number of things. So when a new lead comes in, check out the right side here. We've got this new lead, and then we have the sales executive who is going to say, like, they just had a sales call, and the OB, which is onboarding, is scheduled for 9/24. Now, this happened on September 23rd. She picked up the phone, called Stephen, and then he was interested enough to say, yes, I'm interested in moving forward with onboarding. You know, I'm going to complete the form, or OB scheduled means there's an onboarding call that was scheduled, which is basically this onboarding call we saw embedded on this page. So we've already gotten the sales call that's happened to follow up on that lead who came through, who signed up and said, yep, I want to get started. Because when they click this and they land on this page, it triggers this Slack notification. That's the first critical step. The entire sales team has access to signups VR, which is virtual receptionist, and we also have a channel for signups chat, so that we can follow up and make sure that the teams who are dedicated to building these profiles are in the loop and not interrupted by things that are not relevant to them. Now, this update is also going to be relevant to what happens in front. And there are a few different things that come through here. So, you know, we have, that's the same one, actually. Yep. So then we also have a simple check mark is the indication that the new sign up was recognized, and we can see, did they complete the express form? Then we have the link to front, or did they complete the expedited form, which means I'm going on vacation tomorrow. I need you to answer my calls as soon as possible. I need Smith.ai in the next few hours, not the next few days, right? So we have those two options, which we actually can see here, expedited and full. So we're knowing that from the get-go, and the sales team handles it accordingly. The sales team is the front line to say, look, what's the status with this person? Is it spam? Is it real? How serious are they? How urgent is it? And then to take the next step, they indicate they have recognized and reached out to this lead with a check mark. We also see that there are tests that can come through, which we indicate with, and if this will load, I will show you an X, right? So we have different tests that are happening right now. We're making changes to the site. So last night there were some tests that came through. We don't want to bother the sales team with that. Now, we saw the expedited form. We also can see when an existing client, for example, is signing up in a new way. So this might be a virtual receptionist client signing up for chat. This might be, in this case, Jessie Nickel, who is an attorney in Colorado and runs a law firm. And now here we go. She just signed up with her realty company for virtual receptionists. Fantastic. Now, there's a conversation here, and you know, we're talking about how we're going to have the client success team, which is the account management team, reach out to her instead of sales, because we all know how icky that is when you have a sales team that reaches out to an existing client who simply wants to upgrade or augment or extend their service in some way. We see that a lot, especially having two primary products, which is virtual receptionist and chat. So we're very mindful of, does this go to an account manager or does this go to a sales executive? Is it a new lead or an existing client? We also have an essential plan. So there are some times when we actually have signups that we don't have sales executives reach out to, because they're basically, this is actually a test, but let's say this is a real person. That's why it says staging. Basically, like this is a very low cost virtual receptionist option on the Essential plan, where we just answer your calls. There's no intake or scheduling. It's just answer, transfer, and take a message. Now, for some businesses, they're just starting out, they want the lower price point of $4 a call instead of 5 or 7. They can actually do the entire sign up flow themselves online and build their profile, and we can start answering, and it's completely automated. So there's no sales executive who's going to sign up there. And that's why it's automatically getting marked by Nicole with an X, and it doesn't look the same. It says do not engage. So constantly building systems that are scalable. If you have this alert, then when you bring in new sales executives, you don't have to worry as much about their memory and their training. That's immediately obvious. Then this is an example of a test, and we have the little red X, which I showed you. Now, this is someone who I talked to yesterday at an AILA conference. What happens after we have the Slack workflow come through is someone signs up on the website, right? They click get started. He actually submitted his express form and everything. This will be updated momentarily. The team basically works it, updates the lead status, and then we know it's an inbound lead. The lead source, and this is where it gets interesting, from the database, we see a number of things: the Slack notification, and then also the Salesforce record creation for sign up. So that is an area where we have sign up as a lead source if it's virtual receptionist, and we have sign up, we have chat sign up if it's a new chat sign up. So basically it'll say sign up here if we know they want phone service. It'll say chat sign up if we know they signed up online just for the chat service. Now, when we have a conversation with that lead and they say, actually, it was attorney Regina Edwards, or I met you at the AILA conference yesterday, American Immigration Lawyers, right? Then we're going to update this to events and conferences. We're going to say referred by if it was Regina and tag her account so she gets recurring monthly credit. All of that happens when they are in the onboarding process, but immediately having the lead go into Salesforce is critical. It will add new, it will match existing. So if we see that Justy Nickel, for example, who's that previous client, runs a law firm, now has a real estate group, she is going to be seen as a new lead. But when we review her information, obviously there's a name match that will show, I need to ask a question. Is this really a new lead, or is it a current client who is adding a new, basically business to their profile? Now, if I share front again, then you'll see a little bit more what happens after we see one of these forms come through for Express. We see the sales executive say that the onboarding call is scheduled. And basically what they did is they filled out maybe the wrong form. Happens all the time. They have an onboarding call scheduled, but the sales executive here has a note that says, look, they actually filled out the wrong form. It shouldn't have been the expedited one. They have an onboarding call scheduled for Monday. It was actually the same day. Just FYI, we're going to need to ask them more information because expedited is a very light setup, just answer, transfer, take a message, whereas express setup is going to ask you, how do you want your 3 staff to have calls scheduled for them Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday between 3 and 5? What lead screening questions are we asking? Do we transfer if this one person calls, etc.? So there's a lot of complexity that we can add in, but we're not going to do that in the expedited 1 hour sort of like form submission. So we got that information. And then Tim, who's on the profile building team, asks proactively, is this still on hold? And then it was assigned, and we can see that there's a pause. We're still waiting on more details. And then we have the profile built out. We have payment that has gone through, and they're going to go through the 14-day money back guarantee with their account. So it's really interesting to see sort of the dialogue that stems from all of these different conversation points. You'll see that there was even a Slack screenshot that was included in that front thread built off of the express form. Now, what I haven't even mentioned is that that express form gets sent into our email inbox in front so that that conversation can even take place, right? So if we think about like, what are the ways that I can use this and extend it? How can I use Slack to not just see these new leads coming through and prompt the follow-up, but then also go even further? So a few things that I wanted to share. We have a lot of integrations with Slack because we know it's really front-facing and by the minute interactions with the businesses that we serve. So we send call summaries normally by email, by text. We can also send them into Slack so that when a call comes through, the receptionist has written notes. Instead of going into an email, it actually can go into a shared Slack channel. And this is the actual call itself, right? So maybe a client calls in and they say, I want to increase my marketing spend. That's an immediate callback, or you could have, for example, Smith.ai schedule time on an account manager's calendar. But simply having the visibility into it is critical for those sorts of conversations. So if we think about like how, for example, and this is Stacy, I think, is here, and there's a great blog article about TextExpander and Smith.ai working together in this exact instance. This article talks a lot about how to include your Calendly link and to get these appointments in the first place. But here's an example for Global Mac IT. Now, someone on Tom, who runs Global Mac IT, his team, her name was Megan. And they have clients who call in, and this is marked as an urgent call summary. And what Megan has done is to put a check mark. You could also use individuals' faces and things like that to say, I'm claiming it. And then there's a follow-up note that says, look, I listened to this call summary, I'm claiming it. There was a Comcast outage and Lisa made us aware. Okay, so Lisa was the one who was calling in. Basically, she's saying, I called back, and this is what was so urgent about that call. You can imagine if it is a new lead or a new client, a potential partner, you may have instructions, for example, for Smith.ai, where we don't transfer every call or schedule every call because not everyone qualifies to have that access to your calendar. These follow-ups are really important to prioritize and triage the rest. So that's one thing. Another thing is that the actual transfers, if you do have Smith.ai answering your calls, is those can come through to Slack. And the actual transfer request, instead of ringing your phone, meaning, you've got the receptionist on the phone with the potential lead, they've been screened and qualified, you've indicated this is, someone you want to have transferred to you or your team. And what we can do is basically have it post to a channel, and then the notifications are turned on, and it'll look something like this. So it'll say, so-and-so is on the line with Mara, in this case, the Smith.ai receptionist. Do you want to accept? And there is a brief note from the receptionist saying, hi, business owner, in this case, Brittany, I have so-and-so on the line requesting to speak with her account manager. She said it's urgent. She needs to speak with someone immediately. Do you want to accept this call or not? And you have 30 seconds to do so. So you can say yes, or you can say no, and then the call will be connected to you. So you don't ever have to have your phone ring. Now, for our legal clients, this is really important because they are in court or in a meeting and they can't have their phone ringing, but they need to be notified to just step away maybe for a moment or have someone else handle this. If it's a shared Slack channel, so-and-so can be away. The other person can actually claim the call and answer the lead or answer the client. So if you think about all of these things sort of coming together, and there's one more thing that I'll share, you've got the integration of your systems, the reduction of interruptions, but the awareness, you're still in touch with what are the conversations that are happening right now for my business, to my business. And do I choose to prioritize that or not instead of a phone call or email prioritizing you? So this is really an exercise in control from that new lead sales flow that I went through to the client experience on an ongoing basis. A couple last things to share with you. Um, Smith.ai also has a chat callback request. So if you do have the chat enabled on the website, and you'll see that actually right here, there is the option to actually have a phone call trigger and then go into Slack to say so-and-so is requesting a call. So what's really nice is that you can basically have chat installed on your website. A lot of people, we find about 16% of chats are net new leads, so they wouldn't otherwise call. But sometimes it happens that they're in the conversation and they realize, this is really a better phone call. It's really better over a phone call to have that conversation. The phone number is saved because, for example, we might only be asking for a name and email, or name, email, and phone number up front in the chat. We'll confirm that phone number, and then that is passed into Slack, and there's a notification that says, there is a call request, it came in at this time, please call this person. And here's the link to the entire chat conversation, so you have some context about what you are going to be calling and talking to this person about. That could be a lead, it could be a client, it could be a referral partner, it could be your mother, who knows, maybe she's just testing your website widget. Now, how to set it up, there's some good examples, and I'm happy to share these links in the chat and with Alex afterwards. But this is really important for any type of business. A lot of service businesses who are saying, look, chat can only get me so far. Either schedule time or no, it's really urgent, I need to talk to someone right now. Or it could be the business's priority to say, look, the chats are going to come through. We don't want to make any assumptions about how strong that lead is or how urgent the client need is. Push them into Slack. We have someone on our team who is monitoring those to triage and prioritize, and boom, when a call request comes in and it's not just, a chat transcript summary, that says something about the urgency that you want to pay attention to, and then to follow up from there. Now, if that call request comes through, sometimes we see or take messages where someone needs basically a follow-up to some extent, and that could be on a call, it could be on a chat. For the call example, there's also the option to have your receptionist service like Smith.ai call back instead of your team, right? You're like, okay, you've just delayed the interruption, now I have to call this person back on chat. Very helpful, but there's more. So in the call summaries that we send, we have an action that can be taken, which could be block this caller, it's spam. It could be route this caller directly to me. I don't need the receptionist to answer when my mother calls, or request a call back to this caller. And then what you see is a form to fill that submits the callback request to our receptionist system. And it says, what's the reason? What do you want to do? I want you to schedule a consultation. I know I told you never to schedule consultations with personal injury clients who are in, whatever situation. This is one of those cases where I actually really want that client. I need you to call them back immediately and schedule them because time is of the essence. Great, we can do that. Maybe there is someone who called in and said, I need to pay my bill, and we might not immediately have the invoice. You could send along the invoice link and say, call them back and complete this invoice link. When they give the credit card information over the phone, goes directly there, the bill is paid. They don't have to lift a finger other than sending a couple links and a few words in this form. Done. So there are a number of options here that are available. You can imagine how that works into the sales flow and how it can help with really expedited customer service as well. So, to sort of wrap this up, the final thing that I wanted to share, I know Dina, so I'm sharing this.
Hey, Maddy, we're about 10 minutes over, so we got to cut right there. Unfortunately,
oh, sure. Sorry.
I'm gonna shoot it over to Maddy.